weeks left in my master's degree, and one of the classes that I'm taking is a teacher leadership class. One of the things that we had to do was to look at our schools, where we are, and find a problem of practice within the school. It could be anything, any problem we wanted to choose. The problem that I looked at is a problem with the special education and IEPs, the uses of them, the implementation of them in classes, and how they are hurting or helping our students, and whether the teachers are using them correctly, whether the students are getting the proper modifications, or are in some cases getting more than they should. Okay? And what I did in my steps with this was I started out and I gave a survey to the special education co-teachers to get their opinions. It was completely anonymous, so that it would be authentic. I wanted some true data from those who are on the front line. And what I got back was shocking, albeit not unexpected. Some issues of grade inflation and dumbing down of content, things of that nature that would not help our students. Modifications that shouldn't have been made, that have been, like providing notes for students and things like that. So I'm presenting this to you guys as my colleagues because we're the ones that would do this. Because what I'm focused on is not necessarily just the special education, but the regular ed. No Child Left Behind has stuck it on regular ed teachers that we're completely responsible for their success. All right, so it kind of bundles all of this together. I've already, actually, Donnie Smith has a copy of all of this, and him and I had a meeting for about 2 hours, about 2 weeks ago. So we're actually trying to see how this will continue. We're going to get together with Barbie and see if something can come out of it. But the idea is that we have some issues with teachers maybe not knowing the difference or what level the differences are between accommodations and modifications. So that was one of the things I looked at. Are IEPs truly being followed by teachers? Do they help or harm our students? And are teachers, meaning the regular ed teachers, properly prepared to assist students with disabilities? Because we may not know what specific disabilities they have or how to specifically deal with them and that disability. I looked at two different types of data: qualitative, which would have been the surveys, and then quantitative. And my quantitative data came directly from SLDS. It shows 6 students who are special ed kids in my class, in one of my classes, who I've had now for 2 years. And I looked at their data. Everything from Lexile scores, to report card grades, to test grades, to report card grades show a pattern of special ed students getting grades just above 70 so that they get passed along to the next grade. When we've got students who are in the 12th grade who have a Lexile score and a reading ability of a 4th grader. 4 of them had tremendous anomalies in 9th grade. We had students averaging 88 to 95 in the core classes, but yet minimal passing of any exams at all, any of the standardized tests that they need to take. This is not a problem that's just in our school. It's just not. It's everywhere. And there's a lot of literature. I did a lot of research outside of just our school here. Now I know our students here are, when they get a special ed diploma, it's a certificate that says that they've mastered certain skills. But the data that I've pulled out shows that they're not getting those skills. Now I understand limitations, not an issue. You set the limitations, take a good look at IEPs, take a good look at the student, and then establish the rigor based on that, instead of just pushing them through, which is what's happened. We do everything we can to try to eliminate the special ed tag, amongst teachers, students. We want to integrate them as much as possible, but we're not integrating them in the curricula. One of the things that I looked at, and I've spoken to a couple of colleagues about this, was a position such as yours, Ms. Mitchell, with the academic coach. You're an academic coach for regular ed teachers. Why couldn't we have an academic coach for special education? Somebody who, like you, could do trainings that we wouldn't have to outsource. that we wouldn't have to go try to find somebody else to do. We could do them in-house, so your teachers aren't going to be out of class. We could use somebody within the district who's already got the qualifications. Most of our special ed teachers have their 6-year degree, have their specialist degree, so we could use somebody in-house. They could provide the resource just as you do for us with our meetings that we have during the study group. They could do something similar with special ed and with regular ed teachers to help them with special ed, with IEPs, with disabilities, with making the idea and the possibility of that. And it comes down to funding. When I spoke to Donnie about it, and Mr. Knighton also shared the same concern, was who funds it. My question is to you is, you've been a special ed teacher, and you're now a regular ed teacher. Do you think that would be a resource that would benefit you, as being in the classroom? Or Ms. Belcher or Ms. Anderson, was that something that you guys could use? If we had somebody, say like Ms. Mitchell, who came in, if you have a co-taught class, who came in to help out, if and help you with that specific child, with those children that you have. My question is, what is your take on whether or not something like that would be beneficial or feasible for the school?
At this point, I would think, it definitely wouldn't hurt. We need all the help we can get in our area.
Okay.
And then the regular ed teacher, and then that person will only work with that,
Right.
So, for instance, if Ms. Hollywood or, whoever, Ms. Matthews, whoever, they will only work with, because they know something more of the special ed material or things to help us.
Right.
Because sometimes we feel lost.
Yeah. And I agree with you.
This business about just pushing them on and inflating the grades, I don't think that is just our special eds.
Oh, no.
I think our borderlines, that has definitely been done, and they are over here, and we're all suffering because of it.
And that was actually something that was brought up in the questionnaires. Because one of the questions I asked was, are our students being served? Are they properly being served here? And an astounding amount of them came back with a no. Not just the special ed students, but the regular ed. Our entire student body is not getting what they need, what they should get, what they deserve. But the major solution for the problem that I found was to dedicate more resources to the special ed students through the regular ed teachers. And how that is, I don't know. There's still a lot more data that I need to collect for this. We've seen it. We all know. We know what's going on. This is not something that I'm just out of the blue just showed up.
It's something that needs to change at a much earlier level. By the time they get to us, we need an alternative program for some students.
Yeah.
We can push a child with a learning disability and hold them to the same level as the other average intelligence individuals in the classroom. But we have so many mildly intellectually disabled children in our classes, identified and not identified. And those are the ones that sit there. They try all day long, sometimes not all of them, but for the most part, they will try harder than their peers, and they don't get it. And so,
and that's part of the thing that I looked at too, is we're supposed to have them college and career ready. That's our goal. College and career ready.
We need a program to make some who are not college bound career ready.
These kids are not going to college. Yep.
I mean, seriously, we have some people who need to learn how to
work with their hands,
on an assembly line.
Yep. And that's what a lot of the literature showed.
Fill out an application.
Yep. A lot of the literature showed alternative programs like that, where that are more hands-on. Building classes actually did benefit them more than sitting in a classroom like this.
And that you're talking about, the children who are the mildly intellectually disabled children, or the children who are not going to college, we do them a disservice. Because really, what difference does it make to them, that President Lincoln was the 18th president? I don't even know. I mean, it's not beneficial to them. They're not ever going to use Beowulf. They're not ever going to go and use algebra ever again. They're not going to be an engineer. We're doing them a disservice. We're kind of wasting their time.
No differentiation. Now differentiation is the answer. That's just it.
Differentiation
But
only goes so far when that kid still shouldn't be in that class.
unless you do like a whole, and it takes so much planning that it's almost impossible. You almost have to have nothing else going on
So if
to
you
do a whole
believe that
unit.
like an academic coach for us to deal specifically with special ed would be a huge benefit.
Grade inflations. I felt extreme pressure
I
the
did
whole entire time.
I do too as a regular ed teacher. I feel pressure to pass.
Yeah.
We're getting it. There's no ifs, ands, and buts. We're getting it.
We
Yeah,
are.
as a co-teacher though, I felt like if any of those special babies in the room failed, it was reflected on me. I wasn't providing enough services for them if they failed. But you know.
And I know there are a lot of things to work out. It's not a very simple, and that was the problem with my project. Is that part of it was an implementation plan, a step-by-step, how do you fix this? And a lot of my classmates looked at simple problems like classroom management and just things that you can immediately fix just by changing behaviors. This is not an immediate fix. This is we need to get together and come together as an entire district to fix it.
So bad because I'm thinking he was in my class one time. And I think I kind of didn't do anything with it because I expected the co-teacher to. And I probably could have helped him because I'm, the English teacher is the expert in the reading and the writing.
Right, and then the co-teacher is the expert in the special ed part of it. And
But
that's part of the issue too, is that we don't use each other correctly, and we address that. That's something that we are going forward. We're going to change, but it's also it all trickles back into the big ball problem. And I don't know how to fix it, but I know as me as just a teacher. And I told Mr. Smith this. I mean, I'm looking at state data. I'm looking at national data. I'm putting everything together that I can. And he's setting up a meeting with the district, person who sits over special ed. So any suggestions, anything, any ways to elaborate this are more than welcome. And when he comes back to me and says, hey, we need to go sit down with her such and such a date, I will gladly take it with me. We're here, we'll function here, we'll stay here because this is comfortable. And we're not going to push forward, we're not going to try to do anything with it. We're just going to get here, get them going, get them through, keep our graduation rate up. It's like the focal point changed from the student and the quality of the education to we need to make sure we get them all out the door.
In middle school, a lot of things they try, but that's when they go through all these stages.
And you don't want a 16-year-old sitting in a class with
12-year-olds.
your 12-year-old girls. Yeah. You get to a point where all right,
You've kind of got to push them.
And I think they help them in middle school in elementary with exceptional problems and issues and stuff. But they sometimes when they get here, people almost forget about it because they are special. Oh, we'll just cut some of their questions off of a test.
Yeah.
And how fair is that if Karen was special?
Right. And see, that
I'll
changes
just grade their papers later, but I'm going to grade all the regular ed papers now. How fair is it, though, if there's somebody's child who really needs to graduate? You change a 12th grader who has
it's not something we can change at the upper grades. We got to start it earlier, but stay together as a team. And we don't have a lot of that here in this district. There is no teamwork here. Try to see what other districts are doing, for possible solutions. But one that that we came up with was, creating another position, so like Ms. Mitchell, to kind of oversee that as well and help us, at least help the regular ed teachers with understanding more about what they have to do for the special needs students, if nothing less. Not that you didn't know it was here, but when you see it and you see what our special ed teachers think about the working conditions that they've got, it's really eye-opening.